We don't have an IT. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How you doing, everybody? Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How you doing, everybody? It's Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hey, listen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it's Wednesday, you got things to do, and you came and spend your time with us. We appreciate it as always. Never want to take that for granted. Special show today as we celebrate one of my friends, but also celebrate him in a way that we want to be celebrated because he's so relevant in the context of people, social entrepreneurism in terms of leadership. We have a great show today. I'm talking about Umar Hakim Day. Pardon my voice. I'm getting over a case of bronchitis. Make the walk for me. The gentleman I'm going to talk about today, Umar Hakim Day, out of Compton, California, proud Comptonite, Muslim. I met him back in the late 90s out at Masjid al-Badallah with Imam Safir Siddiq back in the day. You're talking about the late 1990s. He was just taking his Shahada. This brother was just full of ideas and a certain type of enthusiasm and energetic energy about all things, really wanted to serve the community. He was in a hurry to help humanity. Unfortunately, he passed away, heart attack, and it was a loss. When I went to his janaza at Islamic Society of Orange County in Gordon Grove, it was a potpourri. It was you talking about, those that hate diversity would have hate being at this janaza because he had everybody. He had Muslims, non-Muslims, he had Jews, he had Native Americans, he had bikers, he had Nation of Islam, he had Shia, he had Sunni, he had Sufi, he had everybody there to pay respect. Now, he said one time, he said, I'm in a hurry. I said, why? He said, because I have all these things to do. Because when I meet my Lord, I don't want to have things that need to be done by other people. I said, does it have to do with the deeds? He said, no. He said, that has to do with the determination and discipline. At the same time of his janaza, we had a situation. People call it a political assassination. You can call it whatever you want to call it. A man lost his life. I'm talking about Turning Point CEO Charlie Kirk was murdered, and that's be of note by another white man in Utah. But Charlie Kirk was different. See, Charlie Kirk was different. You see, the difference between these two, which is I'm going to get into, is Charlie Kirk has been presented as something by others who don't fully understand or haven't shared in his journey. They don't know his background. Umar Hakim Day was an open book, and that open book was the Quran. That open book was the Son of Prophet Muhammad. His guidance brought so many people, not only to just the faith, but he brought so many people to a space where they believed in themselves. His janazah was full. They could have not held his janazah at Isla, LA, where he was beloved. They had to take it to a full Islamic center because there was just that many people coming to show their love and appreciation. They came from everywhere. Listen, I was in the Philippines. Got on the plane, figured out how to get to LA, got to LA because I had to be at his janazah. And honestly, coming back from the Philippines, I was still in disbelief because he was an amazing worker. You've heard the quote said, Allah never wastes the work of a righteous worker. Well, this was the epitome of a righteous worker. In his guidance, he was my little brother, let me say that. In his guidance, I watched him establish a movement. See, Sometimes when people come to functions, they come to lead. Sometimes when people come to function and other things, it's because they are leaders and they want to be around like-minded individuals. And at the janaza, I felt like I was around like-minded individuals being congealed by this one individual, Umar Hakim Day. So he has a GoFundMe thing. If you can send them some money that way for his family, he's not asking. He never would. I'm asking. He sends some du'as to his wife and his family and his brother and his children. You know, he's not asking. I'm asking. You know, and for all those people he touched, I want you, if you can, make dua for them that they touch other people like he touched them. Now, the first part of this talk, of course, is going to be about my brother Umar Hakim Day. But I can't leave it that way because, in the fashion and the way our relationship was framed, we always believed that his company, Encourage, was built on test, was built on debate, was built on engagement with social issues and social problems to get the social solutions. So, with that in mind, we're going to start the show. Peace and blessings to my brother. I love you. Rest in power, rest in peace. This is your brother Preach from down low, your older brother Preach, your big brother Preach from down low. Thank you so much for everything you've given me and everybody else. Those who know and those who don't know. Make a dua for Umar Hakim Day. Let's get the show started. All right, we're back. So let me get some shout out love to our shout out show family. We want to give a shout out to Sister Ree. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. Excuse me. My main man Bilal Salahuddin and his lovely queen sister Sonia Dalton Salahuddin. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. They always say they in here. Well, let me give you salams first. Nice to see you up on the spot. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow at the Punchline Comedy Club. Little brother JT, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Please make dua for my brother. He injured himself doing some weightlifting, getting big, and I don't know what happened. You gotta watch those weights, man, and cracked a rib. I actually cracked 2 ribs, so make 2 duas. There you go. My main man, of course, Altaf Rashid. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. It's good to see you, good brother. Back on the live. I hope everything is going well on your side of the border. This is one of our day ones. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. A Canadian envoy to the show. Good to see you. Okay, and also I'm gonna give a shout out. Of course, we can't do it without our executive producer, Sister Satana Whitfield. Peace and blessings. And Miss Whitfield, her mother had a birthday, the 15th of this month. Give her some love. I got 2 more birthdays. Aunt Maxine had her birthday. I'm gonna throw her age out because if she try, she ain't gonna say nothing. 82 years old, and my mother will be 81 years old next week. So make the wise for the Black Golden Girls. Give them some love. That's what we try to do. So unfortunately, we have lost our Instagram audience. I don't know if it's my computer or what. I set the whole thing up hours ago, and then all of a sudden it just didn't work. You know, Allah's the best of planners. So let me throw this out. Our title today is Why Umar Hakim Day and Charlie Kirk Matter. Why do they matter? One is a teacher, one is a teacher, and one is a teaching moment. Umar Hakim was a teacher in the way that he was authentic, that I can look at where he came from, the people that he drew guidance from, Hidayah, the people he drew guidance from, and the conversations they had manifested in the fact that he was able to serve people across a wide spectrum. His goal was not to see you achieve. His goal was to teach you how to achieve. And the larger goal is that you are able to help other people achieve. I think for the next couple shows, I might do it till the show goes off, whenever that is. When I start this show, I'm going to ask you two questions. Umar Hakim used to ask two questions after he gave you salam or gave you a hug or whatever. Two questions. You look him in the face and he go, what are you doing? What are you working on? What are you doing? What are you working on? Which frames, if you will, intent. It frames intent, but it also frames the discipline around the intent. He asked you in many regards to frame what your behavior was going to be as you were acting on something and what were you going to do in terms of developing a game plan, a blueprint, a pathway to what you're doing. Basically, he's challenging you to say, you don't have time to sit around and not have things to do. Now, at the same time of Brother Umar's passing, we had an assassin. There's a murder. I know people saying assassination is a murder. People say assassination want to be political. It's a murder. Man lost his life. White man lost his life. Charlie Kirk. People, I can tell you, I don't agree with a lot of politics that he said. And while again, a loss of life is a terrible thing, make no mistake. Make no mistake. Words matter. Imam Warthi Muhammad used to say what? Words make man. And the reason why I have this whole thing about Charlie Kirk is because his words framed who the man he was, who we saw in front of us. Now, I have no business, no interest of what happens when he returns to his Lord. That's a personal thing. You know, he could be doing that for a purpose. I saw conflict within the man in some regards, and I don't know. You know, the United States is not built on what's right at this particular point in time or what's relevant. It's built on what sells. So I'm looking at why Charlie Kirk is important because they had a big homegoing for him that was framed part church, part political. They tried to make him a martyr. And I sat there not watching any of it, just in my mind trying to think, why are these people trying to make this man a martyr? Was he working in the way of peace? No. Was he feeding the hungry? No. Was he bringing people together? No. Was he feeding the children? No. Was he better schools for the children? No. He wasn't doing none of that. He defined himself as a white Christian nationalist. White Christian nationalist. Well, here's the deal. You are what you are. Words make man. But the danger of a Charlie Kirk is the reverse of a Umar Hakim Day. That Umar's scope was for for all of humanity. How does humanity get better? Charlie Kirk, in some regards, was how do we eliminate certain aspects of humanity? I don't know my heart. I don't know the man's heart. Neither do you. But the proof in the pudding is that after he's gone, you have to look at the behavior of those who tried to hold him up as a martyr. And something, I didn't have my Sunday phone call with my brother JT. Something hit me. And I could be wrong, but something hit me. And this is what it was. For all this MAGA, pro-Trump, pro-Zionism, all this stuff, you realize that white America has seldom in contemporary years had a martyr. Black people, we have King. I mean, white people celebrate King, black people celebrate King. The Black collective holds near and dear Medgar Evers. We hold near and dear Malcolm X. We hold near and dear George Floyd, Sandra Bland. We hold near and dear because these are real martyrs to us. The problem is we just have so many of them. But white people are they're in the business of being victims. They hold on to being victims. And in a very dangerous way, black people, we don't hold on to being victims because if you label yourself a victim, guess what happens? People will label you a victim too, and it's keep victimizing you. And there's no way to minimize what is going on in America. Because in this way, the idea of a martyr is that if I get you to buy into it, it means that it's a measuring stick. It means that I could push you into anything. You know, I was watching some video and they were talking to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, it was a trick question that they asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he answered it in a way where the cameraman didn't really know what to say. The reporter was shocked by the response. And the question was to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, why don't you tell your followers to go out and vote? He said, why don't you tell your followers to go out and vote? And I thought it was intellectual genius. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I can't tell them to go out and vote. He's saying that I don't have that power. He said, but I have the guidance. He said, I can't tell you to go out and vote. He said, because that implies certain things. As a kid said, there's levels to it. He said, to go out and vote, if I'm telling you to go out and vote, I am endorsing the idea that that politician is going to give you what you want. That politician is going to acquiesce and compromise, particularly in the 50s and 60s, the fact that you should be equal to him. And he said he can't go back to his people and say, hey, here's an idea. These Negroes over here should be equal to us. He said in his own way that it was farcical. And he added to the point. If you're going to do that, he said, listen, just give us our own space, our own land, our own resources. Let us build our own government. He said, because you don't want to be around us anyway. That's the genius that's missing. You know, in doing research on Brother Kirk, let me give a shout out some folks at Brother Eric, Walaikum Assalam for Tulay Barakatuh, man. Good to see you. Hope things are going well in South Kakalaki. My main man, Jabril Howard, Walaikum Assalam for Tulay Barakatuh, beloved. Good to see you all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I bring this point up because this is about organic movements. I got a text from Umar short-time before he passed away, and he was doing his brand Encourage. That's the name of Encourage. Is not, he was trying to make it a clothing brand, but the brand was so strong in terms that it built social entrepreneurs. It helped people frame the decision making, the leadership skills. It's a very unique thing. I mean, probably one of the most unique things in terms of leadership I've seen in a long time. In the way that he empowered people to help them empower themselves, we don't even need to talk about it. At least not in this show. But I look at a Charlie Kirk, and you do the homework. Somebody invested in Charlie Kirk, and they sold him an agenda because his original agenda did not work. And you guys should know this, that when Barack Obama won his first election, he won with youth. And the GOP didn't have the youth. And so Charlie Kirk was the guy that they wanted to go out and speak to the youth, to set up all these satellites across college campuses, because college campuses produce, here you go, here's the word, cultural and political competency. See, if you're on the farm, you never leave the farm, they don't want to deal with you. They want people who are smart talking to people so that what they're speaking about sounds intelligent, sounds reasonable, even though it could be totally delulu. Given that, the man excelled in that. And that was his brand. You know, I try to be very careful when I do this show, that I want to not so much guard what I say, but I want to make sure that what I'm saying is protected. You can verify it, that I'm not leading anybody astray. And it has nothing to do with journalism. It does have to do with journalistic integrity, but it also has to do with, I have a religious responsibility to make sure that I do not mislead people. Charlie Kirk was engaged and promoted not so much by leaders, but misleaders who sought to build advantage off the man's death. Someone texts me and say, hey, can a person shoot that far? And then I'm going to tell y'all something. I went to military school for 6 years. It's hard to do what happened. I'm sure there's another story about that. We're not even talking about that right now, but we're talking about the repercussions. Think about this. We've had 3 assassination attempts, 2 on the president, 1 on this guy, Charlie Kirk. Unfortunately, Charlie Kirk met his demise. You know, may Allah be pleased with him. But we didn't have that before. This weird theater of violence now permeates damn near everything we do. And when we talk about people who grow, hear me now, who grow intelligence, people who grow and promote faith, people who grow and promote courage, people who grow and promote integrity, we're not talking about those things right now. I'm getting ready for the show. I'm getting on my phone. I get a thing from Washington Post. Former FBI Director James Comey is going to be indicted, most likely by Virginia prosecutors. This is the guy who was delegated to research or investigate President Trump. Now they're going to investigate him. This is what happens with the hysteria, people. And this is what happens when you don't look at your history. In America, a lot of things have been done to create hysteria, to engage other crimes. How many people were murdered in Gaza between the time Charlie Kirk was killed to the time he was laying the ground? How many people lost their jobs? How many more homeless were created? Those questions were questions that could be answered by a humanitarian, somebody like Brother Umar. But they're not being answered by other folks. Umar exemplifies what we think of: our families, our communities, our elders, ourselves. I want us to be real clear, at least in this junction, that the thing that's afoot is a revolution against kindness, an assassination of good character. You see, the way you eliminate good character is you bring around a bunch of people that don't have any. If you extract mercy, and I want you to look at this, all these things that you're seeing now are devoid of what? Mercy. And when they get messy, and it stays messy, people say, they politicize a topic. Well, I'm old school. I realize that when you politicize a topic, it's basically because you couldn't make it plain. You couldn't tell me your intentions straight to my face. In a back room, or some congressional office, some senatorial office, some judge's chambers, you plan to remove mercy. You plan to remove good character. You're going to plan to remove God if you can get away with it. I'm going to say this. This is an Umar thing we used to talk about. The new Holy Bible showed up in Oklahoma. They've been pushing to put the Bible back in class. The Bibles that showed up were missing some things. They're missing the 13th Amendment. Wait. Here's the funny part. It's a Bible, but they put the Constitution in it. They put the Bill of Rights in it. They put Constitution, Bill of Rights, all amendments in it. I grew up with the Bible. I never saw those things. You know what? In the back of the Bible, in the front of the Bible, but definitely back in the Bible, you add your name, when you were born, and what day they gave you the Bible. Now here's the killer part. The Bible is supposed to be distributed as a historically accurate text. But the Bible's missing things. It still has the language of 3/4 of a man in it. It's removed. They removed the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment, which not only says or addresses slavery, but in removing it, guess what it says? There was no slavery. So the difference between a Umar Hakim Day and a Charlie Kirk is that Umar's work is unedited. It's uncompromised. It's authentic. The work of a martyr, if you want to use that word, is the fact that it's built on a lot of opinions. A lot of opinions. Think about this. John F. Kennedy was murdered in broad daylight. They don't hold him up as a martyr. His brother was murdered, Robert F. Kennedy. They don't hold him up as a martyr. What makes this man a martyr? Here's a clue. Given the real question, Charlie Kirk will not want to be a martyr. Probably want to be with his wife and kids. That's ball game. And remember, 2 questions. What am I doing? What am I working on? I'm Preacher Moss. This is a shout-out show. See you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And make sure you go to the ISNA Grand Gala. I think I said this before. The person who was being honored was Umar Hakim Day. Unfortunately, Allah called him home before he could get his award. But I put in my heart, he went home, he got a much bigger award. But for those of us who are still there, still here, please support Isla. Please support his family. Inshallah, I'll see you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much.